Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very great moment that we have. Previously, we talked about the endless experiences, the endless experience. Now, based on the endless experience, this land us is landing us to another thing on how, through the experiences that we've gained from different job or more different job markets, and how the kind of orientation we got into life based on how we used to think and how things used to work. Now, today we want to talk about how has the experiences or the so-called endless experiences worked on you. That is where I'm driving my point so that at last you'll be there to understand that whatever we've been learning and discussing through all along has been there with us. And this, the end through the endless experiences that we've learned from a few in the previous video, now today it is bringing us into attention that from the experiences that you've had, from different scopes of work, different location, different environment, different cultures nurtured, different parenting or parental care or parental guidance or whichever, among other aspects, based on being raised in different economies. Today we are going to learn, is is it really important? How important has the endless experiences nurtured you into the leadership? So today we want to look at a few things, just a few core points that we will consider discussing briefly into details that will give us a leeway and an overview into what we ought and we intend to have as based on what we actually have as an experience. So number one, into the leadership, you must be disciplined. You ensure that all the things, the school setup that you went through the schooling setup up to the point you were studying your career, you understand that or you understood that in your career or with your career, this made it more clear to you to a point that you understood not everything comes on a smoother ground. You have to work for it. You have to ensure that everything works in your favor according to the interest you are having. And this is why it's very much important to talk about the discipline. You must be disciplined enough. And for you to be disciplined enough, you can only be disciplined enough to ensure that life humbles you smoothly and slowly, to ensure that everything you do, everything you have is as per what intentions and what your desires and thoughts are. When maintain your level of discipline, you'll definitely have another one based on the respect. When you are disciplined enough, there are certain things your experience, like the experience you had an experience with money. This is now you as a leader having an experience with money, having interacted with different people of different disciplines, and having interacted with those that money have controlled them up to some limit, but in that you've interacted with this, there is a particular discipline you attained. The next thing is about respect. How do you respect your clients? Like we were saying previously in the other video, when it comes to the knowledge about on how to start a business, who are your customer? How do you handle your customers in the business? How do you handle your customers or clients, particularly for the business? How do you handle people? Are you handling people with a lot of crookedness or rudeness or you are reckless, you are careless, you are arrogant, or with the highest level of arrogancy in your life, or you are respectful enough and you reason with the people diligently based on the age set and how they approach depending on what they want to know from you. When you handle people with discipline and respect, you'll realize that even your sales and commodities will increase, because some people will not necessarily come for your commodity just because they like to have it or just because they want it. No, it is only because how you handle people, and they feel if you handle people like this, it is very obviously in order for someone to interact with somebody like you. When they get along and in touch with you, they feel it very much great, because they ensure that the services you render is up to the satisfaction. And that is when you understand everything you do, everything you have it according to what? According to what is required of you. That is in the level of respect. Another thing, with based on the slight experience that you've had, what is your point of interest? Have you ever been interested in anything? That is our point number three. What is the interest? What are you interested in? Okay, I'm interested in business. How do you handle the business? You must, if you are interested in doing a business, you must choose the business. You must ensure that you work towards achieving it. You must ensure that you love what you are working towards, because from that you're gonna draw your livelihood or livelihood. And so you must have the passion. You must have the passion of doing your business. And the fourth thing, you must have the passion of doing the business. And whenever you have the passion, that makes it very much interesting, because it's something you are now driven by passion into doing it. And that is when you're gonna do things much far better than what we tend to know. Among other things, how are you talented? Sometimes your talent also matter, because what you know with your talent, what you know as your talent, what you know as the gift into your life, God actually placed it in order to ensure that very many people are gifted in different ways. And through the gift and the passion on life, you can definitely ensure you use your talents, and your talents becomes a livelihood drawing challenge, and you earn your living out of the talent you have. For instance, we have people talented in different ways. They are musicians. They use their talent in music to comfort people, to preach to people, to give different messages at different times. We have preachers. They preach, they work, and they love what they do because there is passion in it. And again, it's a gift of God. And that is also what they do. And you also look at somebody interested in much into business. They do business because they have passion in it. They have talent of carrying out a particular business, and they grow together. They have the relentless behavior. They must learn on how they humble themselves to a point they ensure that things are done in such a manner. And that is when everything is done as per what they do. Mhm. The next point, how do you be the behavioral value? As a parent, wherever you are, you can also study your children and you see how they behave to the nature, how they react into things they interact with every day. If a child is more interested and talented into wiring, how do they behave towards the wiring? How do they handle things towards that? Automatic, that is an engineer, and an engineer in the brain. You have to ensure that you work in nurturing that brain, that setup, so that you ensure everything you work on gonna work very smart, and it entails everything, and to that will mark the very best every day, every time. Mhm. So the behavioral is very much important. Communication skill, customer care service. How do you talk to people? How do you talk to people? How do you handle things? How do you talk to people in the office? How do you talk to your customers? How do you talk to your clients? How you interact and you position yourself with the people marks this to be the very best and ensure that everything is done according to this. And to the very best of your ability, you'll understand everything and you figure out it's done. Yeah. So communication skill is very much important because even if it is in the world of business, in the world of entrepreneurship, you must ensure that number one, you know how to interact with people, you know how to talk to people at different times, at different levels, at different levels of life, during different setup of environment, at different structure, different locations, based on their status and how you should refer to people. You must also understand that, and as a good leader, you must ensure that administratively you are wise enough, and administrative skills and administrative deployment. You must ensure that administratively you have gained control over like everything, to ensure that everything you do has to have a way of controlling it, to ensure that you get the best of your ability out of that. As an administrator, you are the overall leader. You must ensure that you coordinate your team well. If it is you are the manager, you are the CEO, you are the director, or sort. You must coordinate your team. You must coordinate your downline so well, and they understand their respective roles and on how they should deploy, on how they should work, on how they should handle, on how they should be doing everything without causing a commotion, without causing a lot of misunderstanding based on people lacking knowledge on how they are supposed to be handling their positions. Mm. The next one is the supervisory skills. You must ensure that you supervise everything as a leader. You coordinate, if it is in the manufacturing industry, you coordinate the processing, you coordinate the production team, you coordinate the procurement team, the accounting, the sales representatives, among other things. You also ensure that how do you secure the raw materials, how do you purchase the transportation, what and everything, so that you ensure that every sector involved in your business or in your job or in your company or in your work are maintained and kept in order, to ensure that everything they deal with is right and just. They don't just do things purposely for doing, but they have to ensure that they understood the process of what they are doing instantly. Yeah. So you must ensure that you are an overall view, you are the overall captain, but you must have the clear overview into what you are doing and into what you've been talking about or discussing with your people, to ensure that every aspect, everything you do, you do it with a lot of keenness and you pay attention, a lot of attention into the work you are doing. And lastly, we have to give approach. How do you approach things as a leader? You find something is at a mess. Before you quarrel, do you figure out, do you understand first what could have been the reason? Find the reason why you are at a mess. Find the reason why your team or a particular person messed up your particular procedure. Find out what went wrong, what went transpired, as is when you think of applying the policy as per what the regulations and the values of the particular business or the company is concerned. Ensure that you approach different aspects of life differently based on the situation, the character traits, the value, the virtues, the location where this has happened, the situation at hand right now, the kind of people you are dealing with at what given time. You must consider several factors and how this gonna even affect your business. So from there you come and clear yourself out or clear the air to make people understand what transpired, what went through, and why people had to believe that everything is just and fair. So you must ensure, if at all there is a dispute, must you also go around quarreling or arresting people? No. Before you come into order, you must ensure that you do an investigation as a leader, do your investigation, speak small and think big, and ensure that if this happens, how do I handle this? We said this in the law, this is what we are required to do. But when I look at this as a leader, my psychological know-how, the psychological knowledge tells me this person maybe is innocent of this, maybe it's a kind of framework, maybe it's what, based on what you can have, and based on the base of the information of background truth about anything. And with that, we'll make it better, and we ensure that killer everything is worked upon according to the benevolent benefits that we get. So that whenever you approach things or the different aspect of life differently, that is how it is into a way of promoting and giving you a way of having some promotion. But you must put into consideration what you are talking about, what you are dealing with is much greater than what we think about it to be. And that is when we understand that everything is done according to what is required of life, the policy, and everything at large. So, guys, ensure that whenever you are a leader, you must ensure that you are disciplined enough. You must ensure that you are very talented. You must ensure that you are very respectful. You must ensure that have the passion into what you are doing. You must ensure that your moral code of conduct, moral values, your behavior is up to the standard of who you identify yourself or parade yourself to be. Alongside that, ensure that your communication skills is much far better and you know actually what you are telling to people, what you've been selling, and how you go about this, how you acquire your properties, and everything goes. You ensure that everything is realigned smoothly without you becoming chaotic and coming dramatic into some unnecessary things. You must ensure that as a leader, you are a very good administrative officer. You must have the protocols followed. You must ensure that everything is nurtured according to the policy and it is done according to the rule of the land and to the rule of the company or to the rule in the particular business that you are operating. You must ensure that your supervisory skills, you must be a stronger supervisor. You must be learning every day so that you be ahead of your what? Your student. And with that, you make it the very best. You must ensure that your supervisory skills as a leader is well nurtured. So, like I said, discipline and all that. You must ensure that the way you approach things in life, you approach them differently. And whenever something happens and you give a different approach in life, that gives you numerous opportunities, numerous scope of work to ensure that everything you are working on something that will come and rescue you in one particular day. And that is the very good moment that we are having. You understand? So you must ensure that as a leader, The leadership requires a lot of us more than what we intend to. Because as a leader, you are also required to be a mentor. You must mentor people, you must nurture people. You must ensure that people that you interact with, you give them an appropriate orientation that will give them a very good and a befitting knowledge that will help them run the skills they have acquired. If they manage to run a particular organization or a business, that is a bonus. But you, as a leader or in leadership, you must ensure that you have the skills of mentorship. You must be a mentor. You must be a role model. You must ensure that everything you do works within the jurisdictions and the scope of work. Yeah. So you must ensure that everything done is done according to the standards set by the business or by the work, so that everything is controlled apparently. And that's the very best thing of all that we need to have always. And we must confirm to God that we are ready to listen, we are ready to make things right, we are ready to ensure that everything, we have the just and right processes that will make everything done right and appropriately. So we have to ensure that the procedurally we do things based on the professional code of conduct and ethics, and that will mark the very best of us. If you find my video interesting, please ensure that you like, you share, and you subscribe. And remember to share. Hit the notification bell so that more of these knowledgeable and educative videos like this one finds you well, so that we also teach people at once. It's your guy, Horan Sarom, as usual, from the Triumph Society, Kenya. May God bless you all as we meet into the next episode.